Welcome to the podcast show, you guys. I got another special guest here. His name is Rip Cornish. He's a friend of Sergeant Ford, wonderful guy who I've interviewed on this podcast before and been on this podcast before too, the Bunker Podcast. And so from networking with Sergeant Ford, I met this guy named Rip Cornish, who's a motivational speaker and a college student as of right now. And we're going to let him go more in depth on what he does. So, Rip, introduce yourself. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on here. To everybody watching, thank you for viewing. My name is Rip Cornish. I was born and raised on the Eastern Shore in a small town called Cambridge, Maryland. I now attend the University of Maryland as a sophomore, going into business marketing and or product development. And the main reason why we had connected and how he found me through Sergeant Ford was because of motivational speaking. I started motivational speaking when I was about 13 years old, and it all stemmed from the environment that I was in. The environment that I was in had a lot of violence as well as impoverished communities. And because of those things, there was often a cycle that people my age, older and younger, could not find their way out of. So for people in my age group, when I was going through the same problems that the people around me were like, okay, let me try and break this cycle by providing motivation and letting them know that somebody is there for them. Because when I was going through my trials and tribulations, I didn't think nobody was there. And so I started to make those videos every day, starting at the age of 13. And I started to get adults and young people saying, oh, these videos help me. Oh, these videos inspire me. So I kept doing it up until the age now, 27 years later. And it's just a healing thing, not only for my community, but for me as well. Hearing people say that they're inspired and motivated. So, yeah, that's what I did. That's what I do. That's where I'm from. That's what I'm about. And I thank you for having me on again.
Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's actually a unique story of you being an inspirational speaker because, you hear stories like that, but the way you word it really sounds unique and kind of like a perspective based because, like, you being an inspirational speaker to people out there who are doing bad locally where you're at is awesome because, it reminds me of, and I know you're a man of faith like me too, it reminds me of Jesus when he spoke to the people, and gave the word because even to speak to people who already knew the word, he wanted people who didn't know because he wanted those that were lost to be found, and to know the word. And, same thing with you, with your impact. The people who are willing to want to learn, they're going to learn through you because they see what you do. So by you being that positive impact, it leads to more positive impacts, which is awesome and just wonderful. So you talked about you talked about how you got inspired through everything, how you did motivational speaking when you were motivational speaking from 13 on up. What inspired you to really, who inspired you really? Because we already know what inspired you. Who inspired you specifically to do motivational speaking, or what event or something happened for you to do that? What was that turning point?
So the turning point that inspired me to do motivational speaking happened around, again, the age of 12. My father had gotten incarcerated, and that was a turning point for me because oftentimes growing up, he wasn't there as much as he could have been. And so that last year before he did get incarcerated, we started to spend more time together. I started to look up to him. And for the first time, I can vividly remember after spending so much time with him and him becoming my hero and longing for that relationship, I started to do better physically, mentally. I was in sports. I started to get straight A's in school. But then that all came to a crashing halt when he was incarcerated. I felt like when he wasn't, I was in the light after so much dark. And then once it happened, I questioned everything. As a man of faith, even in that moment, I questioned God's plan and why those things had to happen to me. I didn't quite understand. And so I went through that period and I still stayed in church, still stayed consistent. My grandmother would drive me and my sister to church no matter what, because he still knew that God was in control. And I think you need people with that type of wisdom and faith around you, even when you can't see it. And so that's what really carried us through. And so then once I started to get over that hump, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I was going to school regularly. And so from there forth, my principal came to me one day out of nowhere. Out of the blue. He said, Rip, I got some news for you. Now, when your principal comes up and tells you that, you're not expecting the best news.
Nah.
And I was a quiet kid. This is before I was like motivational speaking. He was like, my friend was looking for somebody to speak at Howard University on the importance of voting, and I knew the right person. You. I was like, what? Because I never saw myself in that light. And so from that moment on, I instantly had the, well, now looking back in hindsight, I realized that you have to also have those people in place who take that faith, that first step with you, and who will often see the greatness in you before you see it in yourself. So it was about 2 months out when we would go and do the speech at Howard. We stayed up every day, pouring blood, sweat, and tears into that speech. And we finally got there, and it was amazing. For the first time, I saw young black women standing proudly, speaking boldly in their truth, and it was amazing. I was actually so nervous that when I walked up there at like the age of 13, I forgot my notes, the notes that I had written down, and so I wound up placing third. It was a contest from about 8th to 12th graders, and I felt like giving up. But at UMES, I had another speech at UMES right after this one, so I decided to still practice relentlessly. And what this taught me was that it's okay to get down, but it's as long as you get up with resilience and strength, that's what makes the knockdown worth it, because you're getting up stronger. So I got up stronger. I went there, I did the speech, and I wound up getting a standing ovation. From that moment on, it taught me the power of my words, it taught me the power of speech, and it taught me the power of what you have to say and the impact that it has on people. And so from that moment on, about a month later, I decided to create these motivational videos daily and integrate that impact into my life, so that same impact that I had in those rooms, it could be reflected upon the people who I saw every day. And since I had that opportunity, I took that opportunity, and now we're here 7 years later. So yeah.
Wow, man. Wow. That's just awesome, man. It's inspirational, motivational, of course, motivational, inspirational, but just really awesome and relatable, man, because, the first two things I really want to say is you already answered my first question way at the beginning. What inspired you? Now you already answered my second question that I was going to ask you, which you already got to, which was your challenge. And you went through that challenge, and it brought you down, but you went back up. And so that's what's awesome, especially as us as inspirational people and inspirational speakers, because, people always look at the good side. But what about the bad side, and how the bad side impacted you? And, look at it now. You already a head start of the game, and 7 years later, look at what you're doing now. I mean, that's awesome because, it really reflects, I'll say personally, with me, because just like me, I've been through some experiences too, from 10 years old up to now, the different things, and it helped build me up to who I became, and now I'm already an inspirational speaker, speaking on mental health, speaking on other things, and it's awesome because, I know how it is to go through mental health when you have a family member that may have an alcoholic abuse. I know how it is to make me go through people who may doubt what you do in your podcast. I may know how it is to have friends that may stab you in the back, or have friends that are really true and genuine. And so from my real life experiences and, traumas and things, that can relate to helping somebody as well, just like how you related with what you said as well too, with how you said when your father got incarcerated, you felt down. And it's awesome to hear, like I say, the challenges, because those challenges really build up who you become, and it opens your perspective really brand new. So that's all I just wanted to say on that, man, because that's really awesome that you were really ahead of the game. But, throughout your motivational speaking journey, what kept you being so consistent for those 7 years from like the 13 or 12 to up to now?
Well, don't get mistaken. I wasn't always consistent. At the beginning, I was very consistent. But then life started to happen. So before, the whole reason why I started was because of my father's incarceration, what was going on in my neighborhoods, and that began to take a real toll on me about the age of 16 to 17, because that is when my older brother had succumbed to gun violence. And I had never gone through something like that. I mean, I had friends died to gun violence, family members, but never a brother, never an older brother. And so I had to take a break from everything. I mean, it really, that was a dark time, even in my young life. That was a very dark time. It was like, I didn't know what to do, where to go to. Of course, I still had God in my corner, but at this moment, I was questioning everything because I was like, how many losses can we take, you know? And so that was a time where I wasn't consistent throughout the 7 years. And even now, I'm still motivational speaking and empowering the community. But I've learned that in order to make the most of my impact, finding my lane, finding my route, and optimizing it to that is what is going to streamline towards my impact being more profound upon the community that I came from and upon the people of whom I'm trying to reach. So, yeah, to answer your question, I've not always been consistent throughout these 7 years. I've had bumps in the road, and I've even had times where now I'm growing and making the best of this talent that God has given me to make the most impact out of it.
Yeah. Well, first thing, brother, I just want to tell you, sorry for your loss, man, of, your brother. And I'm sorry for that your father was incarcerated. What you've been through is no joke. And I just want to commend you for just staying how you is now. Because truly, man, truly thank God for you, man. Because it's a blessing how you're still staying how you is, being encouraged, doing what you're doing, helping people. And even in college right now, doing what you're doing. Which leads to my next question, which is that, you're welcome. Which leads me to the next question is that, how is it really balancing college and doing content creation work on the internet with the motivational speaking things? And do you have any other stuff you do besides just college or motivational speaking with also these things? Like, answer that for me if you can answer that. I know that's two questions I done actually at the same time right there.
Well, it's fine. And I was gonna say, don't get it mistaken. Like, I definitely do still have my days where I want to give up, where I want to give in, even though I'm known for encouraging others. I still have those same doubts sometimes within myself. But just continuing to keep going, putting one foot in front of the other, even when I don't see the whole staircase, is what has ultimately kept me going. Now, besides doing inspirational speaking, some of the other hobbies that I have, I like to graphic design. I also like to read books, and I'm a nature person, so I like to walk. I like to work out, especially working out because it's more than just hitting the gym. It's about doing something consistently that's hard and not seeing the results instantly, but sooner rather than later you will, and you'll be happy that you didn't stop. So I'm really interested in doing things outside of motivational speaking that has a bigger principle to them, Yeah, I'll see that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you say you do workout, graphic design. Have you ever incorporated both of those things into what you do? Like maybe incorporating graphic designing into making better thumbnails, designs, incorporating workouts to motivation? Because I know a lot of great motivational speakers are, workout people or athletic people. So, like, have you ever incorporated that into what you do? Or are you interested in doing that in the future?
For sure. Very interested in doing it in the future as it pertains to working out. For graphic design, I do that for my business, Sustained Faith, which is meant to empower people through their everyday life and to empower them towards knowing that their past, present, and future has all culminated towards where they are now, and that it's all happened for a reason, and that reason is so that you can have a better future. So that's what I use my graphic designing for, my brand Sustained Faith, and for the workout stuff that I do. I'm going to be using that in content coming up very, very soon, so stay tuned. That's all I gotta say. Yeah.
And that's why I forgot to mention as well, man. My bad for forgetting to mention it, but Sustained Faith, how is it being a apparel brand owner? How is it owning your own brand? From apparel brother to apparel brother, how is it, man? Just operating your own business, having that own inspirational gear.
to be very honest, and this even goes back to being a first gen student. It can be complex because you have to learn how the industry works. You have to find a manufacturer. Because at first I was doing it myself, but then now I'm in college and this is the main thing to focus on. So now I got to find somebody else to do it. And also, as a young person, you have to manage those finances correctly. So right now, I would say those were some of the biggest challenges: finding a trustable manufacturer, and as a young person, managing the finances correctly. But those are both growing things, and I'm glad that I have this brand because it's taught me how to do that correctly, and just how to grow as an overall man. So yeah, from apparel brother to apparel brother, those are definitely the biggest things I would say. And if you have any other big things that you went through, feel free to include it.
That's nice, man. I'm really liking it, and I see that your apparel has faith, and I want to ask that just overall with everything that you've been going through and have achieved, how has faith played a role in your life?
Faith has played a huge role in my life. It stopped me from giving up. Honestly, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for faith. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God, and that's the whole reason why the name is Sustained Faith, because if my faith was not sustained in my times of grief, in my times of pain, in my times of heartache, I wouldn't be here. But God, and through Him being who He is, I'm sustained. I'm here through the faith that He has allowed me to have. So, yeah, for sure, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and you have a particular Bible verse that really helped encourage you throughout your journeys, or multiple Bible verses that may have encouraged you, since you are really big on faith, sustained faith?
Yes. I would say mine would be Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Because in the times when I wanted to reach this dream of even going to college, and it seemed hard to get out of that environment, the fact that I still have faith in God and work towards my goals is what got me here. So I would definitely say Hebrews 11:1 for sure.
And it's kind of funny how you say faith, because, you said faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. You said that, right? That's the scripture that inspired you. It inspired you with your apparel brand, right?
Yes, it did.
And guess what? I have a scripture too I wanted to mention that actually helped inspire me with my apparel brand too, which is faith plus work.
Okay.
And so, why I put faith plus work is because, why I put faith plus work for my apparel is because of the fact that faith without works is dead. And so that scripture has really inspired me because, throughout my years, you have to have the faith and the works to do you can do. If you don't have the faith and you're doubtful, but you have the works, you're never going to do it. If you have the faith but don't put it into action, you're never going to do it. And that's where my signature quote, faith plus work equals success, comes in, because of the fact that, you have to have faith and the work to equal your success. And so that helps you level up right there. And it helps you develop yourself, which is in my shoe right here. So I agree with what you said there, man. Faith does play a role. Faith played a role in my life as well, what I'm doing as an entrepreneur and apparel brand owner. And so from apparel brand to apparel brand owner, and especially from brother to brother in faith, man, in Christ, really adore what you do, man. And I just respect everything you're really achieving with everything you're doing. So keep on doing the good work, because it is awesome. And what's your long-term goals in motivational speaking and everything you're doing? Like, where do you see yourself, like, in the next 5 years with everything that you're doing?
God willing, in the next 5 years, I'll be traveling the world, sharing my story, traveling to schools, sharing my story, giving back to not only my community, but communities around the world, while also being able to go into the corporate spaces and present and do these type of things, to really embed that message into every part of the world, which God has for me. So, yeah, that's the goal for 5 years from now, is to walk that path and to go around the world sharing my story, hopefully and praying that somebody may be encouraged and uplifted, through me, and that they may see God in me when I speak, so yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I respect what you do because, you started from a little small town, you said, right? And now you're getting bigger, and that's awesome because I want to let you know too, one on one here, man. I came and I'm still living here in a small area as well, small town called Charleston, South Carolina. We're kind of urban, we're kind of growing. They say we're the fastest growing area where we're at locally. Well, I'm telling you, man, we're a small area and it's crunched up so bad. And I can tell you down here, I see it for me personally. Like, there is no opportunity as of right now for me to grow and develop as a speaker I want to become. But I'm gonna keep using all I can use down here to help, at least for me to boost up where I need to get to other places. And I see that with you as well, man. You're doing the same thing. You're trying to start off where you're at, and then try to help build on that to helping you outside that. And then with the power of social media is even stronger. So, with that being said, the reason why I mention that is because, we started both from humble beginnings, and with you, I'll say it for credit, man. You really started from a real, true, humble beginning, and it helped build up upon who we both become as motivational speakers. And I just, like I said, once again, I respect and I adore it because no matter what we go through, all of us, including people watching this podcast, is human, and we're going to have emotions. We're going to have up and down days, but it's how we continue to stay with it. Do we have joy every day, or do we just have happiness and then we feel sad the next moment? That's the question there, and that's the answer people should have. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yes, sir, brother. But the last question I want to ask here, man, before we get off the show is, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's a heavy one right there. What would I want my legacy to be? I want to be known as a man of faith, as a man that tried his best, and that no matter what room he walked into, when you had a conversation with me, you knew that I cared. You knew that I was invested in, and you knew that I was a person that wasn't just there looking in your face, but that I actually listened to you. I feel like we all need that type of person, and I feel like it can be rare at times to come across that type of person. So that's the type of person I would want my legacy to be. I'm a man who tried, a man of faith, and a man who genuinely cared about the people who he talked to. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I just want to let you know, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for providing the knowledge that you provided. And one question I just want to ask particularly, because, you talk about how you want to help people. Do you ever want to, like, in the future, interested of doing online course or online community? Is that something that you're willing to do in the future for yourself, to build that community on school or somewhere where it's monetized or not monetized, but probably even a free community where you bring impact to other people?
Sure. That's in the future, got something in the works. That's all
Yeah, man.
I say, but yeah.
Yeah, brother, because I heard, like, some people, they do that, they build communities, and then once they build communities, that helps out because, they're bringing impact through, them speaking and having these Zoom meetings or whatever it is, and then they just be like, oh, I was part of the school community, and it helped me out, and this and that, and, I know I can see you doing that, man. I can see you be the host of your own community, helping people grow and develop. But, yeah, man, I respect all what you're doing. Thank you for coming on the show, and God bless you, man. You stay blessed.
Thank you, man. You too.
Sure.